Welcome to the Story of Money by Ash Stewart. Episode 018, Decoding Efficiency. Let's take a quick look at this. I've discussed the concept of value creation in the past, both in episode 004 of this series and elsewhere in my writing on here. Let's go further. But first, a quick, and of course efficient, detour to check on our fictional friends. Steve, Bryan, Brenda, and Irene are sat around the garden table, discussing the week's matters. Bruno the dog and Iris the cat are, of course, well, you know them by now. Recently, both Steve and Bryan have taken up a new business in parallel: shirt making, thanks to a surplus of cotton in their region. While they don't say as much, they each want to do a better job than the other. So Brenda and Irene are like, "How's it going, lads?" Steve is like, "Well, I keep running out of stock. In this last cycle, I made 10 shirts from the stock that came through at the beginning." Bryan is like, I got the same amount of stock too. I got 15 done." The next day, Brenda and Irene walk into Steve's workshop, followed by Bruno and Iris. And what do they see? Tons of pieces of cloth strewn everywhere. He has more equipment than can be seen in Bryan's workshop. Brenda is like, "Steve, where are your manuals?" Steve's like, "What manuals?" Irene's turn, "And where are your accounts? How are you keeping track of how much stock is getting consumed?" Steve's look doesn't get any less bewildered. Bruno the dog and Iris the cat walk out in disgust. Yardsticks yields. So it's obvious where we are going with this, and on the face of it, we all know what efficiency is: how well we get something out of what we put in. There is some nuance with related terms such as effectiveness and efficacy, but those are for another day. And while discussing value creation previously, I formalized that general concept by way of the production equation: inputs plus processing equals output. Only here, with efficiency, we are concerned with more consciously measuring the inputs and outputs with some degree of accuracy. This broader notion has been expressed in slight variants severally before, for example, by Lord Kelvin and much later, Peter Drucker. In my own paraphrasing to capture that essence, if you can't measure what you're doing, you do not know what you're doing. The variants of these famous figures having manage or improve in the second part. Because quite simply, unless we know the baseline for today, how can we tell how we did tomorrow? As I trust I've demonstrated in this series so far, economics is about more than numbers and charts. Economics straddles science, including mathematics, and the social world, areas such as psychology and anthropology. It's an attempt to apply mathematical rigor to such aspects of human behavior, which is why it gets tricky. And one may say, economics therefore ends up disappointing both the scientific types and the humanities types. Still, the concept and application of efficiency, which reflects this desire for mathematical vigor, is vital and fundamental to the pursuit of economics, with its ultimate aim of improving the human condition within our environment. Metrics and optics. But even before such a discipline as economics was formally constituted, there had been efforts to understand and apply efficiency, albeit haphazardly, or as the economists might say, unscientifically. But in essence, all technological progress can be seen to be part of an endeavor to achieve better efficiency. Tech C16, writing; Tech C42, printing; even the Tech C13, wheel. Yeah, I mean, just try tugging any amounts of material on wooden logs, like the Stonehengers did. I've demonstrated this in action in my series on Innovation Linked. But efficiency isn't everything. You may be justified to say that economics overemphasizes efficiency. Life is a lot more complex than that. Oftentimes, in fact, inefficiency is the best way or even the only viable way. Consider this. As you sit down to dinner at a nice restaurant on a first date, you can't ask your date to fill out a form before you process the answers for compatibility and decide to order starters. Sandra, if you don't mind paying particular attention to the hobbies, preferred holiday destination, and especially the Myers-Briggs section on page 17 through 19, and then we can look at the menu. So, how do we know what areas are better off when we seek efficiency, and what other areas need other priorities? Or at least, what is the right balance between seeking efficiency or not, seeking to measure or not, seeking to be precise or let go? Economics, at this point, one might say, can by definition offer only part of the answer. Still, given the broader principles I've applied in my writing beyond just pure economic theory, I trust we have a better way of getting to such answers as relevant to each of us in our own lives. So stick along